Hi, everyone. I hope you can hear me all right. It's kind of freaky the way this begins. It's just suddenly I'm now speaking to all of you. That's my privilege. It's my honor. I'm Kartik Krishnan. I did this last year as well, so I know today's a day full of lots of learnings for you guys. I hope you're enjoying it so far, and I hope I can add to that. My talk is mainly in response to this question that I hope is, I believe, is top of minds of lots of us marketers. But we've done all these events through many years. We've run them generally in person for a while. Then there was this little thing called the pandemic, which made us go fully virtual. And now we have this hybrid thing. How do they fit together? What do we do? How do we run these events in 2022 and beyond? So that's the kind of stuff I'll be speaking to in my coming slides. Quickly, just to introduce myself, I did physics and chemistry as an undergraduate, probably not your best starting point for doing a career in marketing, but I ended up working at Google, doing a lot of stuff with Google Ads, and that was a great learning experience in terms of digital marketing. I then went to Cambridge and did my MBA and figured out my love for startups, and that's when I started to focus in on B2B. And the rest of this is really, all my experience in B2B and indeed doing events for a company called Onfido initially, and then a Founders Factory where we did all kinds of events, both in-house and attending other people's events, trying to push the message for early stage startups, really. I was at CapDesk, equity management software, and now I'm at Beamery, where I'm new markets and ABM lead for EMEA and APAC. Beamery, just a quick word, is HR tech that solves for the fact that you have so many applicants that are coming in. And right now the talent pool is, limited, in fact, because the marketplace is so crazy. And so we provide a CRM and data layer that helps you understand your employees, their skills, and also future employee skills. So about this event thing, I'd mentioned that, we've been through changing times. I don't need to tell you as this, but in terms of events, this is also having an impact on how we're thinking about things, right? So I got this quick bit of data that just shows that, we're switching from doing entirely in person back in the day to much more virtual to now this combination. And where do we stand as of now? Where are we going? I propose that we do not think of it as I need to do a hybrid event or I need to do a virtual event. Rather, think about it from the outcomes you're trying to achieve. And before I dwell on that, I thought I'll just stop and talk about what I mean by these kind of events in broad strokes. So if you're talking about in-person, the things that come to my mind are, we've had a lot of virtual events. People are getting tired of it. Nothing beats a face-to-face connection. And also it's probably where you'll get the most senior leadership. And in B2B, that's kind of what sometimes we're striving for, right? With virtual, you can, of course, attract people from around the world. They're in the comfort of their homes, like all of us are right now. It's easier to organize. And indeed, a really nice thing about it is that you're able to pivot and change, the kind of specialized topics or exactly how you're going to deliver it in the course of organizing the event. So that's actually quite a powerful thing. Hybrid could be the best of both, or the worst of both, because it is doubly hard to organize and very hard to coordinate and keep going and entertain people across both the different mediums. So with all of that said, it's a lot of things to think about. So again, instead of thinking of it as which of these three types of events should I run, is that age-old thing of not how, but why. What are you trying to achieve? Look from the perspective of your long-run outcomes from this event. And I've basically broken that down into two major buckets. So from a brand building perspective, I would say that you want to do events that are at scale. You want to kind of just attract all kinds of eyes. It's not about being super selective at this moment in time. It's actually about kind of ensuring anyone and everyone that comes along to your booth has an impression made on them. And when I say booth, I mean like that could be your virtual booth, it could be a physical stand, it could be even in your own office, but you try and leave an impression on them. And I'll speak more to thinking of it as a day out in a few slides, but that's the sort of mentality that I'm suggesting you're thinking about if you're focusing on a brand building kind of agenda. On the other hand, if you're looking to do lead gen, this is probably better done when you have specific targets, specific outcomes that you're trying to achieve. You try and bring those particular people in the room. And again, it's not just for your own events. Even if you're going to something, how can you ensure that the right people are there? How can you target on the people that are there and give them the message that that you think they want to hear, and that will enable you to have further conversations? That's the important point here. It's all about setting it up for the next stage of conversations. And that's how you do, I think, good holistic lead generation through events. And similar to seeing it as a day out, you can generate some really great sales enablement content out of some of these interactions. And if you break it into these two buckets, I think you start to understand your execution choices. So this is kind of how I've been doing it the last year or looking forward as well. If I'm looking to achieve more of a brand building thing, as I do when I'm looking to take Beamery into continental Europe, then it's about getting a speaking opportunity, having broader topicality, which means that we can attract all sorts of personas and seniority levels and people from different regions, people from different mindsets, different levels of different kinds of organizations. And we try and give them something. We try and make sure that they take something away. And we try and have some kind of cut through. Again, I'll speak to that in the following slide. From a lead gen perspective, on the other hand, it's more about not a broad speaking opportunity. It's not about making sure this is applicable to as many of the people across the whole event, but indeed a specific set. It's more intimate. You almost, if you're booking a booth when you're trying to do lead gen, I would argue that it's a bit of a burden. It's great. It might draw some right people, but it's almost distracting you from that key audienceship that you want to go and target and get them speaking, get them engaged, create an open forum where you can create a dialogue. Remember, I've said it's all about that conversational piece, right? And then here, instead of you just giving out a handout so that everyone takes away something or swag or something like that, it's almost trying to tailor it one-to-one, an exclusive handout, an exclusive experience, a white glove experience, if you will. And similar to the booth idea, it's like if you have more attendees, it's arguable that you're making it quite difficult to follow up because you've heard so many different opinions and you don't know the specific person and what you're trying to achieve with them. So that's the balance here. And that's kind of the trade-off that I'm thinking about when I think about which of these events and how we'll execute at them. So speaking to cut through, during my MBA, it was really interesting, this piece that I picked up, which is about in terms of networking, right? So there's this quick image I was able to pick up, lovely stock imagery, of that most closed group. I think of that as your lead gen focus group, right? Like, so they're probably, not saying they're all from one company hounding that one person. That would be a bit awkward, but certainly they're more tightly wrapped. And so it's not as easy to break into them. Whereas the other group is, I think, a little more open. And so that is more on the brand focus side. You're allowing more people to come to you and you're able to generate more conversations along with different types of personas. At the same time, to get cut through, I would propose that at a bigger event, et cetera, that you would want to frame things in the context of the event. Because remember that people are coming to this with something in their mind. They have some ideas of what they're trying to achieve that day. So you should try and tailor the messaging, of course, at a broad scale here. And at the same time, try and be a little bit of interactive, experiential, build a relationship. Maybe someone gave me this great idea, someone in the community, your company's origin story. I mean, Marvel has made a huge multiverse out of this and made so much money talking about origin stories of all our favorite superheroes. Position your company as having this unique story and having been through these possibly trials and tribulations or having pivoted and whatever, such that they're now where they are, and that's why they're well positioned to solve someone's problems. This can be done at scale. This can be applicable to a lot of people. But of course, I'll also refer to this when I talk about the lead gen side of things. Because I can't escape this big quote, which is, and it's physically big, printed all across your screens, but it's also obviously quite powerful. I'm sure you've all heard this before. people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but they don't forget how you made them feel. So even when you're doing brand building at scale, at an event, try and make people experience something, try and make them feel something powerful. And then you're not just there to attract new eyeballs. There is also a very powerful perspective here of getting your employees into a room together, working with them, sort of crystallizing the message across them, making sure that everyone's on the same page, whether there's some people who are saying it in a particularly interesting way, and can you pick up stuff from them, or can you upskill, can you reskill people through these opportunities? I mean, it's similar to what we're saying with remote versus office work, right? Which some people are saying we see the office day out as just this one opportunity to gather and share ideas and socialize almost. An event, while obviously being about certain other things, you're not going to get too much money to go to a marketing event just to upskill your employees and your teammates. But on the other hand, it's a great opportunity to interact with them, kind of see how they're positioning things, and then record things and play it back to them, play it back to other people in the organization as saying, that's really powerful, or this could have been done better. If you get people who are coming to your booth and saying, oh, I'd love to work for you, I think that's considered a win in today's crazy marketplace where talent is, not as surplus as we're used to. I just want to share this picture of Inbound 2019, HubSpot's event. And I think it was fantastic that they had all these events across, multiple indoor settings, but then they also had this huge outdoor space, which was actually just seen as bring your team along, have a meal with them. I mean, it was much fuller. Sorry, I only got a picture from earlier in the day, but it's normally full chock-a-block with people gathering together and having a nice discussion and saying, this is what I enjoyed in this conversation. That's what I said about that person. And this is how I think we can possibly go out and get that big whale. That's what it's about, right? And of course, the other opportunity from these big kind of events and these gatherings or any kind of brand building activity is do not miss out on the opportunity to hone in on your product marketing materials, your message, and what you're trying to achieve. I've heard from someone that they specifically try different messages at each event. Something being, at the same event, they'll try something that's more on the emotional side, something that's more on the rational side and fun side, and they see what lands. They try different messages depending on whether it's certain personas at the event, whether it's something more of a different region. Because remember that again, when you're expanding into new markets, that's so critical. The nuance of what you're going to say first and second and third, what are you going to highlight, how are you going to say it is critical. And these are the opportunities to, pick up on that and say them get the insights and get the feedback that you want from such opportunities. On the lead gen side, I mean, you saw ABM in my title, so I can't help but reference this. I do believe that ABM is the future, and it's almost risk reward. Do you dare to ABM? That is to say, if you know your target market really well, and I mean really, really well, that is, the different personas that are involved. Do you know who is in market and who isn't? There's such an important thing about whether someone is actually ready to buy. All of these big companies that we're presumably targeting, B2B companies in general, B2B marketing in general, has a huge time component because not every company that comes to your website is ready to buy from you tomorrow. Can you understand that? Do you understand the nuances of what it takes to make them in market? And indeed, now that they're in market, what do they want to hear about? If you know the answers to all this, you can do some really powerful lead gen. And indeed, this is where, bringing it back to events, I propose that you tailor your message, you listen to these people at the event, you make it sort of a dialogue. Always, we're selling to humans, we're trying to create a human connection. You listen to what they have to say. You then say, you said X at the event, so I thought I'd send you Y, or something, and follow up, with which you might be able to achieve, unlock, do something new, right? And that's almost that personalized, amazing gift that you're delivering back to them. That then creates a lot of good traction for you to go ahead and legitimately, very authentically have a follow-on conversation that will hopefully lead to, yes, we can solve your problems and we deserve your consideration and eventually your cash dollars. Okay. Another facet of this question might be, do we do self-hosted curated events or do we leverage existing events? And again, I think it's the outcome lens that helps me answer this. If I'm thinking I want to do lead gen, I would probably be on this. I can more likely do some things with self-hosted. I mean, there's a lot of lead gen opportunities with bigger events, but self-hosted curated is best for lead gen where you're able to control the narrative. You're able to ensure it's that exclusive white glove experience, as I mentioned. It can even be virtual because here, you know, across Zoom, you can still have a really good dialogue and you can ensure that you get that because you said X, I'm going to deliver you Y. Existing events in general is probably being done for a different reason than to just, you know, help you have that one-to-one dialogue. So in that regard, it is likely to work better for brand. In fact, there's going to be a lot of people. So you almost inevitably will meet more than just your specific ABM target audience or even your broader lead gen audience. So you might be just going along to it because you have to be at them. You have to be seen alongside your competitors, etc. That's how I think of existing events. And a quick word on virtual events for brand awareness. Admittedly, this is sort of one of them. But look, I'm fully aware that you're probably all in a similar situation, if not exactly this. You know, we're all working from our home, or at least today we are, presumably. And, you know, children everywhere, maybe, you know, you're doing some other work as well. Are you really listening? So I propose that with brand activation and really making a cut-through message, it's better if you are in a physical setting. That's how you'll be able to make that work. Virtual works when it's more of it's a two-way dialogue so that you can ensure that they're also listening in and having that conversation. So finally, some, I hope, pro tips. Again, this is collected from across the community. So shout outs to everyone who's helped me already so far. On the brand building side, you know, at these big events, you might go for a broader summary. You might make sure that anything that you're giving out, food, drinks, swag is available to everyone, right? On the lead gen side though, because I'm saying that it's all about that follow-up and it's all about that conversation you're building, it's more specialized. Perhaps you take a video of the person, the persona that you're most likely to want to interact with, or someone else in a key stakeholder in a company that you're wanting to penetrate into, and you get them to say something about the event. And then it's more about creating something exclusive because then they feel like they've been treated as something special and you earn the right to communicate with them further. I'm not saying you can't achieve both in an event, but I think I would put it as the trade-off is that it'll take a very different set of mindsets to strive for both these outcomes. I think most of the companies I'm speaking to have enough of a marketing team here to be able to assign one person to, hey, you go out and you try and make sure we do at this event all these amazing things that make people feel something across the board. I'm not telling you to specialize on any one persona, get a lot of feedback, and that's how we're going to succeed with our brand building narrative here. And on the other side, for lead gen, we want to basically target a few people. We do almost spear phishing. We are specifically targeting a few people who are really exciting for us. And then we make sure that we have a good follow-up content with them. We are able to converse with them going forward. So basically, in terms of lead gen, I would say think ABM white glove. In terms of brand maximization, honestly, make it a fun day out. And that itself will be a success for your business. And I think you'll be able to make more of a cut through with your brand and you'll be able to do the event a little bit better. All right, that was my 2 cents worth. I thought I'll be able to ask questions across this, but I think it's best done over Hopin. So throw me some questions on there. I'll be happy to answer. Otherwise, I'm available on LinkedIn. Thanks so much.